You know that sweet rush you get when you unwrap a lollipop, and that burst of flavor hits your taste buds well. Today, we're diving deep into the factories where millions of these colorful treats are made every single day. And trust me, after watching this, you're going to appreciate that simple candy on a stick a whole lot more. Let me tell you something incredible. Around 16 billion lollipops are consumed worldwide every year. And a huge chunk of that comes from just a handful of massive factories that run non-stop churning out these sweet delights in flavors you can't even imagine, from classic cherry to wild combinations like mango chili. It's absolutely insane. So let's kick things off at the very beginning with the star ingredient, sugar. Because without sugar, there's no candy, right? These factories order sugar by the literal ton. And when I say ton, I mean massive industrial bags that could probably fit a whole person inside them. The sugar arrives in these gigantic shipments and gets stored in special climate-controlled warehouses because moisture is sugar's worst enemy. Now here comes the fascinating part. All that sugar gets loaded into these huge hoppers using conveyor belts and automated systems. Watching thousands of pounds of pure white sugar flowing like a river into these machines is oddly satisfying. I'm not going to lie, it's like watching a sweet avalanche in slow motion. The sugar then travels through a series of pipes into enormous cooking kettles. And these aren't your average kitchen pots. We're talking industrial-sized copper or stainless steel kettles that can hold hundreds of gallons of liquid. Some of these kettles are so big, you could practically swim in them. Not that you should, but you get the idea. Here's where the magic really starts happening. The sugar gets mixed with corn syrup and water in precise ratios, because getting this mixture just right is absolutely crucial. Too much water, and your lollipops won't set properly. Too little, and they'll be hard as rocks. The mixture is heated to extremely high temperatures. We're talking around 300 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to give you a serious burn, so thank goodness for automation. As the mixture heats up, it starts bubbling and transforming from this grainy sugar solution into a clear golden liquid. It's honestly mesmerizing to watch the transformation happen right before your eyes. The consistency changes from watery to thick and syrupy, and you can actually see it becoming what we know as candy. Now check out these temperature monitors, because precision is everything. Here the candy makers monitor the temperature constantly using digital thermometers, and sometimes even old-school candy thermometers. Just to be extra sure, if the temperature drops even a few degrees, the entire batch could be ruined. And we're talking about batches that could make thousands of lollipops. So yeah, the stakes are pretty high. Once the sugar mixture hits that perfect temperature, it's time to add the flavors and colors, and oh boy, it is where things get really interesting. These factories have entire rooms dedicated just to storing flavor oils and food coloring. We're talking hundreds of different options from natural fruit extracts to synthetic flavoring compounds. The flavoring process is actually pretty cool. Automated pumps inject precise amounts of flavoring into the hot sugar mixture. And I mean precise, we're talking measurements down to the milliliter. Because consistency is key when you're making millions of lollipops. You want every cherry lollipop to taste exactly like every other cherry lollipop. Customers expect that. Right after the flavoring comes the coloring, and this is where lollipops get their iconic vibrant look. Food-grade dyes in every color imaginable get added to the mix, turning that clear golden syrup into brilliant reds, blues, greens, yellows, and every shade in between. Some factories even create swirled or layered effects by combining multiple colors. And honestly, it looks like edible art. If you're enjoying watching this process, please hit that like button. It really helps us create more content like this for you guys. And trust me, we've got so much more to show you. Alright, so now we've got this perfectly flavored and colored candy mixture, and it needs to be cooled down, but not too much, because it still needs to be workable. The mixture gets poured onto these massive cooling tables, and I'm talking tables that are several feet long, made of marble or stainless steel. Watch how the candy spreads across these tables. It flows like lava, thick and glossy and steaming hot. Workers or sometimes robotic arms scrape and fold the candy as it cools. This folding process is actually super important because it incorporates air into the candy, giving it that perfect texture. Some lollipops are meant to be clear and glass-like, while others are supposed to be slightly opaque, and the cooling process determines that. Here's something wild: some factories still use traditional candy pulling techniques. Even for mass production, these machines grab the warm candy and stretch it. Pull it, fold it, and stretch it again over and over. This creates different textures and can even create those cool striped patterns you see in some lollipops. The candy gets pulled until it reaches just the right consistency. Now comes one of my favorite parts: shaping the actual lollipop. The cooled candy, which is still warm and pliable, gets fed into molding machines. And these machines are absolute beasts of efficiency. They can pump out hundreds of lollipops per minute. It's incredible. The candy flows into these molds that are shaped like perfect spheres, or sometimes fun shapes like hearts, stars, animals, you name it. Each mold cavity is exactly the same size, ensuring uniform lollipops every single time. And precision matters, because customers expect their lollipop to be a certain size. But wait, we can't forget the most important part. The stick. A lollipop without a stick is just a hard candy, right? These factories go through millions of sticks every day, and they're stored in huge bins. The sticks are usually made of tightly rolled paper or sometimes plastic, depending on the manufacturer's preference. Here's where the automation really shines. These incredible machines grab individual sticks and insert them into the candy at exactly the right moment. The timing has to be perfect. If the stick goes in when the candy is too hot, it'll just sink all the way through. If it's too cool, the stick won't stick properly, pun intended. Watch how precisely these mechanical arms work. They pick up a stick, position it perfectly above the mold, and insert it into the warm candy in a fraction of a second, then immediately move on to the next one, and the next one. It's like watching a perfectly choreographed dance, except with candy and robots. The lollipops, with their sticks now firmly in place, need to cool down completely. And this is where patience becomes important. The molds travel along a cooling conveyor belt through temperature-controlled zones. This gradual cooling prevents the candy from cracking or developing that cloudy appearance. Nobody wants a cracked lollipop. Some factories use forced air cooling, where giant fans blow cool air over the lollipops, while others use refrigerated cooling tunnels. The choice depends on the type of candy and the desired finish. Either way, the lollipops need to reach room temperature before they can be removed from the molds. Once cooled, it's time for demolding. And this is actually really satisfying, to watch the molds flip over and the perfectly formed lollipops just pop out one after another, falling onto catching belts that transport them to the next stage. Thousands of glossy, colorful lollipops tumbling along conveyor belts. It's a sight to see. Now here's something you might not know about: quality control happens at multiple stages throughout the process, but especially right after demolding. Workers and automated cameras inspect the lollipops, looking for any defects: cracks, uneven coating, sticks that aren't centered properly. Anything that doesn't meet standards gets rejected. The rejection rate in a well-run factory is usually pretty low, like less than 2%. But when you're making millions of lollipops, that still adds up to a lot of rejects. The good news is rejected. Lollipops don't go to waste. They get melted down and recycled back into new batches, so nothing is wasted. For the lollipops that pass inspection, it's time for wrapping. And let me tell you, the wrapping machines are engineering marvels. Each lollipop gets picked up, positioned perfectly, and wrapped in cellophane or plastic film. In literally seconds, the machines twist the ends of the wrapper, creating that classic lollipop look we all recognize. These wrapping machines can handle different wrapper designs too. Some lollipops get clear wrappers so you can see the candy inside. Others get printed wrappers with the brand logo, flavor information, or fun designs. The machines seamlessly switch between wrapper types based on what's programmed. Here's something cool. Some premium lollipops get double wrapped, first in a plain wrapper and then in a decorative outer wrapper. This extra layer provides additional protection and makes the product feel more special. It's all about presentation and perceived value. After wrapping comes sorting, and this is where things get organized. The wrapped lollipops travel down conveyor belts, past sensors that read codes or detect colors to sort them by flavor. Automated arms or diverters push different flavors into different channels, so they end up in the right packaging. The sorted lollipops then move to counting and bagging machines. These machines count out exact quantities, whether it's 20 lollipops for a small bag or 500 for a bulk wholesale package. The counting has to be precise, because nobody wants to shortchange a customer. Watching the bagging process is pretty mesmerizing. The machine forms a bag from a roll of plastic film, fills it with the counted lollipops, seals it, and cuts it free all in one smooth, continuous motion. And it does this over and over again without stopping. It's the kind of repetitive precision that only machines can achieve. Some lollipops, especially novelty or premium ones, get placed in display boxes instead of bags. Workers or robots arranged them in neat rows in colorful cardboard displays that will eventually sit on store shelves. These displays are designed to catch your eye and make you want to grab one. Now let's talk about variety, because modern lollipop factories don't just make one kind of lollipop, they make dozens of different varieties, all in the same facility. You've got your classic round lollipops, flat disc-shaped ones, twisted spirals-filled lollipops with gum or chocolate centers, and novelty shapes for every holiday and occasion. The filled lollipops are particularly interesting. To make, the process involves creating a hollow candy shell, injecting the filling, whether it's gum chocolate or liquid candy, and then sealing it up. The machinery required for this is even more complex than regular lollipops, but the end result is worth it. There are also those giant lollipops you see that are bigger than your hand. Making those requires special oversized molds and extra care during cooling, because the larger the candy mass, the more likely it is to crack or develop air bubbles. Those giant lollipops are usually made in smaller batches with more hands-on attention. And let's not forget about sugar-free lollipops, which have become super popular. These use alternative sweeteners, like isomalt or stevia, instead of regular sugar. The manufacturing process is similar, but the cooking temperatures and cooling times are different because sugar substitutes behave differently than real sugar. Honestly, watching all these different varieties being made simultaneously in one factory is mind-blowing. You'll see one line making classic cherry lollipops, while another line is producing sugar-free watermelon, and yet another is making novelty Halloween-themed ones. It's controlled chaos that somehow works perfectly. If you're still watching at this point, you're definitely as fascinated by this process as I am, and I appreciate you sticking around. We're almost done, but there's still more to cover. So once the lollipops are all bagged or boxed, they move to the final packaging stage, where multiple bags get packed into larger shipping boxes. These boxes are sealed, labeled with product information, batch numbers, and expiration dates, and stacked on pallets. Pallets of finished lollipops then go into warehouse storage until they're ready to ship out to distributors and retailers. A large factory might have thousands of pallets in storage at any given time, representing millions and millions of lollipops, just waiting to make their way to stores. Speaking of distribution, these lollipops end up everywhere, from your local convenience store to massive wholesale clubs, from movie theaters to doctors' offices that have candy jars in the waiting room. The distribution network for lollipops is surprisingly vast and complex. Now I want to tell you something really interesting about lollipop factories. They run almost continuously. Many operate 24/7 with multiple shifts of workers, keeping the machines running around the clock, because demand for lollipops is constant, year-round. Sure, there are seasonal peaks like Halloween and Valentine's Day, but people buy lollipops every single day. The machinery in these factories represents millions of dollars in investment and requires constant maintenance. Specialized technicians work to keep everything running smoothly, performing routine maintenance, replacing worn parts, and troubleshooting issues when they arise. Downtime in a factory like this is expensive. What's really impressive is how much the industry has evolved. Modern lollipop factories use computer systems to monitor everything from ingredient ratios to machine speeds to quality control metrics. Everything is tracked and optimized for maximum efficiency and consistency. Some cutting-edge factories are even experimenting with AI and machine learning to predict maintenance needs before machines break down, or to automatically adjust recipes based on humidity and temperature conditions in the factory. It's pretty high-tech for candy making. And here's something environmentally conscious. Many modern factories are working to reduce waste and energy consumption. They're using more efficient heating systems, recycling rejected candy, investing in packaging materials that are more eco-friendly. It's good to see the industry taking sustainability seriously. Throughout this whole process, from raw sugar to finished wrapped lollipop ready for sale, the focus is always on three things: consistency, quality, and efficiency. Every lollipop needs to taste the same, look the same, and meet safety standards while being produced as efficiently as possible. The workers in these factories deserve recognition too. While much of the process is automated, humans are still essential for monitoring equipment, quality control maintenance, and managing the overall operation. These jobs require skill and attention to detail. Before we wrap up, let me just say, the next time you grab a lollipop, maybe you'll think it's about this incredible journey. It went through that simple piece of candy on a stick, represents industrial precision, chemical knowledge, quality control, and logistics all coming together to create something that brings a moment of sweetness to your day. From the tons of sugar being delivered to the factory, to the precise cooking temperatures, to the high-speed wrapping machines, to the complex distribution networks, every step matters. And every step has been refined over decades to achieve the efficiency we see today. It's honestly amazing what goes into making something so simple, and that's what I love about these factory tours. They reveal the hidden complexity behind everyday items. We take for granted millions of lollipops made every single day, each one a tiny miracle of modern manufacturing. So there you have it, the complete journey of how lollipops are made in massive quantities. I hope you found this as fascinating as I did. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and let me know in the comments what factory process you'd like to see next, because we've got plenty more amazing content coming your way. Stay sweet, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next video.